Hey everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And I'm laughing at Josh because he's been saying we need a new intro for a long time, but gosh, it is really, really true. And with the change of intro and change of everything, we have this change of seasons going on. And I don't know where you guys are located, but up here we are seeing signs of spring settling in fast.
Yep, we definitely are. We got all kinds of spring plants, spring flowers popping up. I was out teaching a bunch of kids today, so if you caught it on my personal account, I found a little baby turtle. So that's in my profile pic now. So the turtles are out, the flowers are out, leaves are out, fish are out.
But I think along with that, one of the things that we've been talking about today in our different or this week in our different posts is the amount of bug hatches that are going on by us. So, sometimes you get into spring fishing if you are looking for those fish in the shallows or as they're staging. And boy, they can be ferocious because, they got a lot going on and they're shook up this time of year. But what I noticed is so many of those different bugs are hatching and we could see them kind of squirming around in the water. And we could also see them, rising to the surface and even taking off in flight, many of them. So mayflies, other flies, this, that. I, to be honest, don't know entirely what all of it is, but I feel like that you don't always notice it so concurrent like that.
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing lots of stuff that was actually hatching and flying out of the water when we were fishing last time. I will say that everything that we saw, at least in the Anago area and kind of the surrounding area, everything was in like 1 to 3 feet of water as far as panfish went. We caught some bass, some bluegills. We saw some crappies up there. I think one of the things that helped us be successful last weekend was having the pole anchors. So we have manual pole anchors, shallow water anchors. We chose to use dig-in anchors. They have some really nice mounts for your boat. And I was actually able to shut my trolling motor off and kind of like push the boat around with the pole, let the wind kind of play the wind and pin one side. And then the boat would just stay, blown into the spots. And then we didn't disturb anything. And if we needed to back out, we could just like let go and it would just float us away. So, that was kind of one of our things. And water temps being probably in the high 50s now, with the last couple days.
But you can't guess. And I mean, I hate to do that to you, but you can't guess because all we can do is report of what we know because the weather has been up and down.
Yeah, it has. Guess. Who does water quality every single day at their boat? I stick a thermometer in the water every single day.
I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying you can't guess because that's the thing about angling this time of the year is that the water temperatures are changing.
It's variable.
So much.
Yeah. Well, it's variable from lake to lake. So even if you give somebody a report on a range, it could be completely different where they're at.
But either way, the key is finding the warmest water in that lake because there are very wide variations this time of year. And, we saw times where one side of the lake was 43 degrees and the other side of the lake was 50 something degrees. And that seems crazy, but it is true.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we're looking forward to hearing what kind of fishing you're doing. I guess a lot of people are up for walleye or panfish or this or that. So let us know where you're at and what those water temps are and how that's going for you. But either way, we are going to keep talking fishing. So let's bring them in. Let's welcome Coots Lures. So welcome to the show, both of you.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
No problem. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it very much.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah. So I think that there's quite a few people here who probably already know you guys. But in case there's people who don't, can you introduce yourselves and tell us kind of about who you are?
Well, my real name is Paul Williams, but everybody knows me as Coot, and some days I feel like the old Coot. And my son, Aaron, he's my social media director. He takes care of all my stuff. So I'm a retired firefighter from the city of Appleton. I had 28 years up there. I've been retired 6 years this week already. Retirement's been awesome. I started Coots Lures back in 2004, and I've invented, I think, 8 products now. And I got my 8th one coming out in December. You guys are going to see it up at the St. Paul Ice Show, so I can't wait to show that one. That'll be cool.
That's super awesome. And because that's one of our favorite things about the ice expos is that that's where people like to premiere their new products for the ice fishing season. And I'm super excited for that already. I already miss ice.
I tell everybody, if you're in ice fishing, you have to go to the St. Paul Ice Show because that's the newest and greatest things that come out of ice fishing. It really is. And I feel really good that I got something I can show off finally now instead of summer stuff.
Well, and you know what? Now you're going to have to be saying they have to show up to the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo because I know a couple of people that are working to put one on that have one going this coming December right after St. Paul. So if you
Yep.
can't make it to St. Paul, make sure you look around Oshkosh because we'll be there. Have a great expo plan. There's lots of vendors. We're actually going to have a meeting after this podcast here to talk about some specifics, and it's going to be great. I'm super excited. It's going to be an awesome winter
Yep.
season.
I will also be there too. Yes.
Awesome.
So
That's so cool. So to be honest, I did not know that you were from Appleton. And I feel like that's not actually local to Anago, but I feel like we go down there all the time. So maybe still. And so I guess I didn't totally realize that we were neighbors. And so that's actually really cool.
So I actually I was fishing today. Barb Carey, she's a clam person, and she asked me to help out with her women's clinic today, and tomorrow and Saturday. So I got to take out 3 women today, and I showed them how I open water troll, and I have what I call the rod god. I have 8 rods mounted up on the front of my boat, and they looked at that and they says, "This is going to be a mess." I says, "No. I'll show you what to do and how to do it." Once I showed them the whole system, I let them fish. All I did was drive the boat so they could do it. And we got some pretty good videos. We ended up with one sheephead about 8 pounds, 2 white bass, and 6 walleyes. And 2 of them were personal best for one of them. 25-inch and 26 and a quarter inch walleye. So they were pretty happy. Out of 5 boats, we were the best boat today, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Probably way better than what we were doing today since we were at work. So
I was not fishing either. So same boat. I'm the one that gets the photos and videos sent to me.
But
yeah, that's almost worse.
the first fish was an 8-pound sheephead in the boat, and she screamed so loud I turned around and I went, "Oh my God, that hurt." I said, "That's just a sheephead." "I don't care. That's the biggest thing and the ugliest thing I ever caught."
They are good fighters. I do like catching a good sheephead once in a while. It's when you get into those big schools, they, as far as like catching fish, it can get a little, annoying. But that's honestly one of the great things about the Winnebago system is that for kids is that you never know what you're going to catch. And even, an 8-pound fish is an 8-pound fish to,
Right.
Any new angler or any kid, regardless of what species it is. So, and they fight awesome. Yeah.
Every year he does a lot of different youth fishing trips. The Mercury one.
Well, that's Skipper Buds, and that's
Tomorrow's Anglers.
Tomorrow's Anglers. And then I got Josie Skip for children that have terminal cancer. So I'll have my same girl partner from last year. She'll be 13 years old. Haley, I love to fish with her. She caught her personal best walleye last year. We won that one too. It was pretty cool. Had her stepmom in the boat. And I get to the site, and she comes up to me right away. She says, "Hey, I'm with you, and I want to open water troll." Okay, I love that. Let's do it.
So when you're talking about open water trolling, I'm assuming you guys are running planer boards.
Yes.
And you're running cranks, right?
Well, depending on like today, yes, we pulled cranks. I could have trolled 12 rods because I could do it, but I just wanted to show them how to do the board thing with 8 rods, show how I don't get messes. I have a certain way I do things, and I hope I didn't yell at him. I said, "Turn that clicker off. It drives me nuts." But you'll see the videos. We'll get them posted on our website here and all that. But it was just so much fun to watch these people catch fish that they've never caught before. It's just crazy. I just love the enthusiasm with these women. It's awesome.
Yeah, we had a chance to fish with some of those ladies as well with Ryan Slemmy up in Northwest Wisconsin. We did some panfish action up there, and Emily and I were actually just grunts drilling holes and running people around. But it was a great time. They're all excellent anglers, and the ones that are new to the sport actually were very eager to learn, and they had a super time up with us too. So I can only imagine in the boat that it's just as fun.
Well, she screamed so loud, all of a sudden we start getting boats all coming around. It's like, oh boy, don't yell too loud. But it's fun. I just enjoy it.
That's so funny. Just show them that it's a sheep's head, and then they all just like slink away. You just got to keep a sheep's head in the boat for every time you catch a fish.
Yeah,
Show them that every time.
Right. So, I show them different little things, how I do things. I'm a little unconventional in some of the trolling methods that I use. I show them how my brand new 7-foot medium light trolling rods work, how the Magnetco works on the landing net system. I had some rattling wasp out there for them and all that kind of stuff. Just show them little pointers here and there, and hopefully eventually that might be the trick that day for them fishing.
So awesome. You were saying that you do things like a little bit different. Can you share like one of your tricks with us?
Well, son,
I'll tell you. He'll put it when it's a hot day. He'll put his feet in the live well just to cool down. That's his number one trick.
Yeah, that's a hat trick. Yeah. Well, this past weekend I was in a tournament, and it actually helped us get a couple more fish in a boat by chipping the front hook with a quarter crawler. It just that little bit of scent that gave something to that fish that wanted that bait. I ran identical baits, and the one that had the crawler caught the fish. So some days and something like that, I did that in Lake Erie because the water was so dirty they could barely see it. So guess what? They like scent. So I put crawlers on.
Well, what do the fish like though?
Well, there's 4 things. You got vibration, sound, flash, and scent. Those are the 4 things that you want to put into a bait if you can.
There you go.
I think that's so interesting. So you're using like a worm. Like, does a leech also work, or do you ever use just like bait scent?
I do sometimes, but I'm not really sold on it. But it does work from other people I've told. I try to run different style baits on either side of the boat so I can zero in. Do they want a flicker shad, a flicker minnow? Do they want a wasp? Do they want a shad wrap? Different bait styles. That determines it. Speed determines colors. Like today, it's the same color that I had to use Saturday and Sunday. It's unbelievable. Like, what are these fish talking to one another that they only want this one bait? I don't get it. It's just it just drives you nuts.
Yeah, we definitely know all about that. It's crazy. Well, and then sometimes the next day it's completely different color and nothing has changed. It could be the same exact day, weather, everything, and then it just changes on you. So you never know.
When I came out to Lake Erie, the Highway Bait and Tackle told me to stop by. They had a package for me. I says, really? What? So I show up there and they give me a package of custom bandits. I said, well, that's very cool. Why is that? He says, well, since you've been sharing our website for our business, it's been really growing. He says, I must be getting a lot of Wisconsin guys coming in here to buy stuff because of this. I says, oh, cool. So I'll keep doing it. So I got his baits. Well, there's one bait in that of 6. Was unbelievable. I had to buy 3 more. So we ran 4 on 2 on each side. And oh my God, it was just nonstop fish. Why that color worked versus them other ones, no idea. Same bandit style, but that color.
That's super cool. That's, honestly, that's one of the reasons why we took one of our 3 bedrooms in our house and we dedicated it just to tackle building. We can build rods in there. We can pour jigs. We can paint. We can, airbrush stuff. We can powder coat stuff. Like, it's so cool to be able to dial it in so much where you can have like an orange jig and an orange and a pink jig, and the orange and the pink jig will catch stuff, and they're almost identical, but just that little bit, and just to be able to customize that kind of stuff and learn that stuff and share that stuff with people, honestly.
Right.
Being able to tell people like, you don't need a whole room like we have, but let us do that, figure out some of the stuff, and then just take like a paint pen go to the dollar store, buy a paint pen for $2, and just put a little bit of pink on it, and that'll work just fine too.
Yeah.
So
My-
very cool like that.
My two number one selling colors for my Rattling Wasp are pure chrome and a pearl. I show people you just buy magic markers and you can put on your own color schemes. That's how I designed all my lures in certain color patterns, by doing that. Then I just had the regular painter start painting them then for us.
There you go.
I think honestly that's like a better tip than even people realize, because in honesty, you could do that with jigs. You could do that with, I mean, like a lot of different types of baits out there. And I mean, so often you go to the store looking for such a super specific pattern or something, and always that's the one little section of the fishing aisle that's sold out. And it's like, why? Like, why? Who else out there is even using this, And I think I so often forget, to get white, that you can customize that. But even just like having those markers in your tackle box, I mean, that's super interesting to me. I mean, I guess you can even customize your plastics. Can you draw on plastics?
You got
this is too much
now.
for me. This show's over because I'm about to go try all this. We learned enough today.
Well, the night before the tournament, we went and bought some more. It's the Purple Flash number 7 flicker minnow, and I had yellow highlight markers, and I'm putting dots on each side all the time, and we still caught fish doing it that way too. So it's just, I don't understand it, but it does work.
Wow. And just like a regular Sharpie, or do I have to get a specific paint pen?
Well, I was just using a highlighter, the yellow highlighter. Yeah, you don't have to go expensive, but that's what I do, buy permanent markers, and I just start,
There you go. Right there. There's what you need for all your next baits.
That type of
Okay,
yellow.
wait, I just assumed that would have just like that you put it in the water, it would like wipe off. So that's not the case. That will stick to the bait.
It was sticking on there, so it worked. But this is how I actually started Coots Lures back in 2000. I had a pro guy come to my house from Michigan. He showed me how to pull harnesses. Well, he'd use a flutter spoon, a 5-foot leader, then he'd have his worm harness. Well, after learning that system, I was getting fish biting the flutter spoon in front of the baits. I said, well, that's kind of dumb. I said, why would I want the fish to bite that and not the harness? So I started incorporating spoons with my hook harness, and man, I started catching fish with that. So I actually designed a kit, 2 kits really, Coot 1 and a Coot 2. It had 19 pieces in it, and it was all interchangeable. With those 19 pieces, I could build over 1,000 different lures in my boat. It was very unique and different. It was hard to sell, but once I started showing people how you could do it and use it, it was nonstop selling.
That's super cool.
Speechless.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, no, but these are the stories that I love though, because when you come up with cool things, like, I don't know, out of necessity or out of when that's what the fish bite on. What do you call that? I don't know. But you come up with something in the boat. You try something. People aren't doing this, but why wouldn't it work? I mean, I think people so often don't take that risk, and it doesn't sound like it should be a risk, but for so many people it is, because we get caught up in, that comfort zone or what works or the trend or what everyone is doing. And so, I mean, to take it and turn it into a business and all the things, there's a million cool things about it. But to me, even just that first initial moment of you going out and doing something new, I mean, that's cool.
I consider myself a tweaker. I'll take a product and I'll make it better. How I make it better, I don't know how I come up with it, but I do. I try to make it more cost efficient. I want people using it, and I want quality products. Just like my trolling rods, I've sold 2,100 in 3 years. I'm out again. I ordered 1,000. I even doubled the order, and I'm out again. So now I don't have any rods to sell this summer. That's how crazy it gets. Same with the Magnetgo. Last year I sold 3,000 Magnetgos to go on landing nets. And that just started with a offshore clip and a zip tie on a landing net. So I went to the magnet system, which is a lot convenient and quicker and faster, and it works great.
Yeah, that is it is awesome. So full disclosure, we actually saw it was either your truck or your trailer has the picture on the side of it.
Yep.
And I went and I turned to Emily, yeah, that picture right there, and I turned to Emily, and it was funny because we had bought some magnetic keychains on Amazon, and we just used them last year because what happens in our boat is not necessarily that we have too many people or too many rods going on, but we have a dog that runs around and likes to try and bite fish, and so she's like almost always standing on or in the net, and so I needed something to do that, and so like I hadn't looked anything up honestly, and I just, it's like you're like, oh, what, how can I fix this? And I just happened upon those magnetic keychains, and then I saw your product and I was like, see, this is exactly why I need to like search this stuff before I start dicking around, because I spent how many hours like searching and being like, is that is that gonna work, is that gonna work? And it was there the whole time. But it's so awesome that like it's very cool when a couple of like-minded people can have a similar idea, and you took it a step further and you offered it to the public in a simple way, and it's an awesome tool.
2 years ago when we went out to Lake Erie, we were in one of the bait stores, and again, I don't know the company, I don't know anything about them. I think it was an Amish fishing company, and they had the Magnet Go that he designed, but they termed it was like Amish Magnet fish. What was it called?
Fish releaser.
Fish releaser. It was literally identical in every way. And
wow.
We're like, huh. But the guy said he couldn't buy the Magnet Goes because it'd be a conflict of interest or whatnot for the deal that they worked out with this Amish company. Pretty certain it was an Amish company that did it, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. And that's one of the great things about the fishing industry too, is that there's, if you think about it, there's really a finite number of things you can pack into fishing tackle and fishing gear, right? It's all reimagined from something that has mostly come about. And to get down to basics, you can take some dental floss and a hook and dig up a worm and catch a lot of fish with just that setup, right? But being able to, there's such a wide market for people, you can have similar products and still be successful and still be like competitive. It's all about how you put yourself out there, and you guys have done a really good job at like branding yourself, and like you guys make some really good products.
Well, he's helped with the branding, the Coots Lure shirt and all that. But Emily, for this, a little tip I'll guarantee you: always carry shoestring string cheese in the boat. When you run out of crawlers, put that on. You'll catch walleyes.
Okay. Do you know why I like this too? Is because all these years I have insisted. Oh, that's funny. All these years I have insisted on using alternative baits. I put so many weird things onto hooks, and honestly, I hate to say this out loud because I almost don't want to admit it. I have so little luck. How could a sausage not catch a fish? If hot dogs in winter and worms and other things catch, how tell me, and so I don't know what the deal is, but I think you're right with that string cheese.
It was hilarious. I put that on, my buddy looks at it, he's just like laughing, yeah, right. And also 5 minutes later, I got a nice walleye. It's scent, they like cheese. They're Wisconsin,
Wisconsin.
Yeah, we are right. That's who was I thinking? Of course, obviously.
And my son and I, we just love having fun in the boat because he went through high school and college. We didn't have much time to fish because he was a sports nut and all that. And now we're finally getting back together, doing the stuff that we like doing together. It's been a lot of fun. I just had a guy comment on, he bought 2 rods. He says, I've been watching all your YouTubes. He says, I really enjoy your stuff because it's so much fun watching you guys have fun. I said, well, that's what it's all about, is having fun out there with people you want to meet and take out.
Yeah, that is super true. Like the amount of people that we've met just through fishing and is so awesome, and like being able to find that many people that like the same thing that you do, and just being able to share information and stuff, like it's so fun.
that was the biggest thing for when I started doing a lot of the social media for the Coots Lure page is, I noticed the community of fishermen were always tight-lipped about, and again, understandable if they're tournament anglers and whatnot, but a lot of people never take videos of catching fish because one, it's really hard to capture. Two, there's a lot of things going on, like if the boat, if there's, other boats that you got to navigate around. So I always noticed it was very difficult to capture those moments. Everybody gets photos, but videos are way harder to come by. So then I just started recording him because we catch quite a bit of fish. And, if it's tournament day, that's a little bit different, but pre-fishing, we're pretty damn good. But no, things that like even recently him, flaying the walleye, teaching people, that's the biggest thing is how you can educate and create more value for other fishermen and different anglers. So I just think, and like you said too, meeting people through that, just with the social media, like Ed the Diver, we met him through TikTok and now we're very close with him. And it's just cool seeing all the stuff that he pulls from the water. And it's crazy and it's kind of neat to see all the colors that people choose too, going back to your statement before. We met some guys from Indiana that found him in a magazine, Devin and Resty, very close friends of ours. He actually loaned a vehicle to him when he was a stranger. So we've made some really cool fishing connections, and we're really excited just to even do a podcast like this with you guys.
And last October, I had him in the Sheboygan Walleye Club up in Green Bay. We're doing a river tournament and all that. He said, let's do a live TikTok. I said, okay. We had how many hits? And
we had 30,000 likes on a TikTok video.
In 20 minutes. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I said, we like to bring, fun, positivity. If I can give info, I'll give you info and all that. You still got to go out and do it.
Yep.
If you guys could see the messages that he gets on his Facebook, I'm sure there'll be more now that I'm going to put this out there. If you ask him for fishing tips, whether it's Lake Erie, Green Bay, Winnebago, those are the best ones he knows well. Maybe some others, I don't know. But he will give you the speed, the type of colors that worked for us. We're not very tight-lipped with that kind of stuff because we want people to catch more fish.
Yeah.
It should be fun for people.
So I did an experiment. It has to have been at least 5 years ago. I found this guy on the internet, and I see he liked the fish in that, especially Bay of Green Bay. So I found out he lived in Fond du Lac. I said, why don't you come up to my house? I'll give you all my rods, my trolling boards, my landing net with Magnet Go, all the baits that I'm using, and I'll give you my GPS points. I want to see if you can go out there and do it. Really, he says. I said, yep. He came up here, and I show him how to use all the stuff, where to go and how to do it. So he finally goes out there, and boy, did the next day did he slam the walleyes. Unbelievable. He says, now he buys all my stuff for me now. It was just so cool to do that.
That is so cool. Well, and all these different stories that you're talking about are kind of, referring to fishing, the fishing community. It is a community. But I think so often people are, in cities or, in places where they don't have fishing community already built in. So, I mean, you and I are in fishing community in a lot of ways, but can you give us some tips on how people can be involved in that? Like if you have no fishing friends, like where do you start?
Mm-hmm. The most thing I guess you could start is the local bait and tackle shops. Those mom and pop shops need business. I try to support them as best I can with my products and all that. Big box stores, like, I'm in Fleet Farm and one for my fireflies and just whatever. But anyways, by talking to mom and pop shops, they can tell you what clubs are out there. Like Otter Street, it's just Sheboygan Walleye Club, Lighthouse Anglers down in Fond du Lac. There might be a club up in Appleton, I don't know for sure, but up in Green Bay, they got the Green Bay Walleye Series up there. They got some smaller clubs like that. Just, reach out to the mom and pop shops, and they can probably point you in the right direction for that.
That is a great place to start because once you can start getting, a hold of that local information, I mean, that's what it's about because, some places do have, local tournaments or weekly, events or meetings but that's the thing is you never quite know what your area is sponsoring until you can talk to some of those other local people. So I do really love that. Also, you were mentioning, helping out youth groups. and children. I mean, there are so many different places to do that. If there's scout groups if you're in your area, if there's boys and girls clubs, if there's even just libraries, sometimes they host different events outdoors and such. So if you're looking to get involved different ways, lots of different ways to do that. And I urge people to definitely go and get involved.
Right. The Boys and Girls Club is another good one. And then I'm thinking, obviously, Mercury does the Tomorrow's Angler. That's a really good one. It's very tough to get in, though, so you got to register early.
I think we're still looking for a few boat captains for that one. So, but a little story on the Boys and Girls Club. I love doing that because it's so much fun fishing with kids because you never know what they're going to come up with. So the director says, "Okay, Coot, what do you want, boys or girls?" I says, "Give me girls, please." He says, "Why is that?" I says, "All the boys want to do is drive my boat. They don't want to fish. Girls want to learn how to fish." So I got these group of girls out there last year, and it's really hot, and we're not catching many fish. So we finally catch a sheep head. I put it in the live well so we can play with it. Well, one girl ended up swimming in the live well. It was so hot. It's just little things like that. It's just hilarious, and it's fun. Like I had him and his buddy out one time where I'm catching fish, and they're in life jackets with anchor ropes around their chests. So I'm dragging them through the water because they're too hot. And I'm catching fish.
So that was when I used to be younger and did that intentionally. Now, if I don't accidentally hook the planer board during a tournament, I have to go skinny dipping so that we don't have to reset everything and swim as fast as I can to go get it so that we don't have to reset. That happened twice to me now.
Oh, no.
No, yeah. I don't go back and get him. He goes swimming for him. I slow down a little bit.
Yep. We were in Green Bay before 7 a.m. I was skinny dipping, then caught a 25-inch walleye right after I got back in the boat.
Oh, jeez.
So it sounds worth it.
There's always a story. Another one, too, outside of kids, the veterans events. Alex DV of Fallen Outdoors, he does a phenomenal job with getting veterans out fishing. So if veterans are listening or watching this, that would be a great person to contact, Alex DV.
Nope. I'll be with him on August 12th up in Oconto.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Love the veterans, especially the stories they tell, what they went through. And, it's just hard to fathom some of the stuff that they did see. The two guys I had were over in Pearl Harbor and all that. Like, wow. My hat's off to those people.
That's
so, I just forgot.
Lost his train of thought. What
Yeah, it just like went.
I was like so ready to hear what you were going to ask.
Well, I was so ready to say it apparently, and it just didn't come out.
Well, do we have any questions that some people want to ask, or you saw on there yet, or?
Honestly,
if people do have questions, definitely they can pop that in there. There's a lot of chatter back and forth, so we love and appreciate that. A lot of mention towards weather, I'm noticing. People are really appreciating the sunshine because I think we've seen a lot of, rain and clouds so far this season. So I'm going to guess as an angler, when you go out, how does that weather impact the choices that you make that day?
I don't go.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
When it's tournament day, it's raining, you got to go. I'm sorry, but that's what you signed up for. I don't mind rain. It's the lightning. I've had static electricity, and that is really freaky. When you got a woman that's her hair standing on end, like, ooh, I think we need to go in, or you pick up your line and yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Wind condition is obviously a really big one too, depending on the water that you're fishing on too. Lake Winnebago can change on a dime.
And the last day I fished on Lake Erie, I told the guys, I says, it's going to be really rough. We're in 4 to 6 foot rollers, real up and down. You can't see the boat behind you, all that kind of stuff. And and when you buy a rain suit, spend the money on a good one, because he had a cheap one. He got cold. I said, that's the way you spend the money on $300 worth of rain suit, because when you're 8 hours away from your house, you can't really warm up real quick. So spend the money on a good rain suit.
Yeah, that is definitely a good, a really good tip, because Emily, we only have chance to fish on the weekends mostly, just because we have day jobs and stuff, and we spent a lot of years just like doing the rain poncho thing or just doing the cheap rain suits, and we finally broke down and we use the Striker snowsuits,
Mhm.
and so we bought one of their sets of insulated rain suits
Denali
for
bibs.
the Denali bibs and the Denali coat.
Yeah, and coat.
And man, it makes so much difference. Like, and not only like, okay, some of the cheaper stuff might keep you dry from the rain, but then it's kind of clammy. So
Yep.
you're like sweating, like people don't forget that like you're still like actively like sweating and stuff when it's raining. It's still
Right.
could be a little warm out, and you still end up kind of wet and feeling kind of gross. And then, but when you get a good set of rain gear, like it breathes and it keeps you warm, and the rain doesn't really bother you as much when you have some good gear like that.
Right. Well, same with ice shelters too. And I had this guy ask me a question. He says, "What's the difference between insulated and non-insulated tents?" Well, it threw me back for a second. I said, "Oh, $200 and 40 degrees."
40 degrees, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that
drippiness.
yeah,
on the inside,
it keeps the drips down too.
Right.
So speaking about like rain and stuff, like, so let's say you have some good rain gear and you're going out. What do you guys do to dry out your equipment?
It's just more or less hang it inside the house when I get back, and also have a good pair of rubber boots. Just don't wear shoes, because if you're out there in the rainstorm, you better have good rubber boots, because that one year him and I were out there and we got wet. Actually, the rain was warmer than the air, so we were walking around barefoot. I said, we need to protect our shoes to keep them dry. So we're walking around barefoot in the rain.
Yeah, I'll usually pack an extra layer of stuff and put it in my bag in a dry area. So if I do need to change into something, that's the biggest thing. It's just being prepared.
And that's what's nice about my ZV-21. I got so much room storage in there. I said, we can always have enough stuff in there. If we ain't got it, then we're screwed.
Yeah, we have a little baby Alumacraft 165 Classic, and we wouldn't trade it for the world. We love that little boat. It has, it's what we wanted when we were looking for a boat, like 7 years ago now. Like, we just wanted the 2-side storage, and we wanted a tiller. Like, we wanted it to be completely like under the radar. We wanted to, people to think that we didn't know what we were doing out there, and we were just like kind of out there. But like you said, with that comes our drawback is we do have a little bit of lack of storage. You have your rods in one, you have like your emergency paddle, your extinguisher and stuff in the other one, and then you need to put your extra stuff that goes in and out. So we end up with it looks like a lot of stuff. We probably look pretty goofy, honestly, with all the stuff that we have sitting all over. But I'm like having the stuff for what you're fishing as far as weather is very important. Like, do your homework, especially if you're doing Winnebago, Green Bay. Those can change so fast.
Right.
Not only just like rain and stuff, but like wind. Wind's a huge one on those, and you don't want to be out there without a little bit of warning. So
Steve is making a really great point. People will still eventually find out who you are. I had the same thought and still get followed around. I mean, that's one of the funny things that I find myself doing. Well, and I guess maybe it's the social media. So I don't know if it happens to everybody, but you catch a fish and you take the selfie. But then I like look for the good light, and so now by this point I'm holding this fish for like 8 seconds out of the water, and it's like, who's gonna see that in 8 seconds? But it's like amazing how many people see that.
The moment somebody's net comes up, everybody's eyes in the boat are looking at. There's also etiquette to that too. If you're trolling, are you gonna veer behind them and use their line? That usually can be frowned upon. We typically don't do that. Obviously, we kind of stick to our game plan, but it is the lake. Nobody owns it either, Is that a walleye that you're holding?
A furry walleye.
That's our Fisher cat. We found him in the woods around Thanksgiving, and he just hasn't left. So I guess he's ours now. Yeah. So do you guys do any just straight line trolling? Is there any time when that's a better option than planer boards? Because Emily and I, we do have a couple planer boards. We do, contrary to our name, we do fish multi-species, but on any given day, we're probably fishing panfish and um, more often than not, for the two of us, we
Right.
don't necessarily need more than two lines in the water, just
Right.
because you're catching quite a few when you're fishing panfish. But with walleyes, having a few more lines out may make the difference. But is there a time when like you want to just like run two or maybe only four lines?
In your boat, you're combat fishing. That's awesome. You're one-on-one. You can pinpoint how you want to troll in that certain area. If you need to spin 180, you can do it on a dime. My boat, I'm trying to cover ground with a lot of lines and a lot of baits to see if the fish are.
Sorry for the background noise.
Sounds like a wave hit you.
I don't want to state where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So,
But no, straight line trolling can be very deadly, especially if you got a back troll to control your lures. They do that a lot in Minnesota. But that's how I grew up, in a 14-foot boat, hanging onto my line. Just banging bottom of counting down Rapalas.
Mm.
So
That's super cool. And I know, and like there's other tactics, like some people, if they're fishing deeper water and they don't and you can't necessarily get a crank down there, some people will run like a three-way rig,
yeah.
and they'll run a heavy weight with a leader, and they'll run cranks behind that. There's people that'll run lead core and stuff. I was just wondering if there was a time when there was an advantage to just running fewer lines, and it sounds like if you're fishing maybe a smaller body of water,
Mhm.
or maybe in somewhere where you need to be, you have tight contours, maybe,
right.
So
Someday I got this in my head, but I haven't put it on paper yet. I wanted to put on a graph how many techniques there are to fishing. When you go under jig fishing, there's like 6 to 7 different types of jig fishing, if you want to call it snap jigging, slow presentation, dragging. Once you do that breakdown, I'm gonna have to do this to put that out there, but there's a specific type of fishing to that fish. Yes. Like a lead core is really well known out in the Dakotas, fishing the Missouri River. Three-way rigging out there is awesome. That's why I use the Kill Zone, Mikey Schultz. It's an awesome setup, no knots on it. You can adjust the height off the bottom and that kind of stuff.
What do you call that when you whip it?
Oh, we're shivering.
Shivering.
Keith Cabayas taught me how to shiver with them. I thought my arms were going to fall off that first night. Oh my God, but once you get that technique done, it is deadly catching nice big fish.
Wow. That's actually awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a chart like that, but to be honest, I'm not sure if I could come up with all the ways that you could fish all the baits. Like, because almost like you even said before, because then all of a sudden somebody comes up with something new or uses something in a different way, and then now you have to redo the chart.
Right. And the thing is, I don't want to make it complicated. Fishing should be just go out and have fun. What happened to the days where you just had a cork bobber and a worm,
Yep.
Or fish on bottom for bullheads. That's how I grew up, catching bullheads on bottom, But everything has a cycle or an evolution, like slip hours. That might be coming again in Winnebago. I believe in cycles. So it's just how you want to fish. That's, to me, trolling. I love trolling because I cover a lot of ground and catch big fish.
Tell them how Grandpa would catch his perch.
Oh, my father loved the jig for perch. And he had cane poles as big as my pinky here, really thick. And he would hand over hand these fish in the boat. It's just hilarious. It's just constant all day. Like, it's just, I miss my dad. He's been gone 6 years, but I'm glad I got some videos of him doing that. I should repost that and just have a good time watching those. But yeah, perch jerking's fun.
Yeah, so like you were saying, like with all the different techniques and stuff coming around, like, even something like you brought up slip bobbers. This is a dangerous topic. Like watch Emily roll her eyes right now because
I love bobbers too.
she
but there's
So
no
do
end
I.
to this
So do I.
conversation.
well for one thing, I'm almost offended when somebody uses the term bobbers. I prefer float because bobbers have a negative connotation to them. When you say bobber, like everybody almost thinks of the red and white ball
Yep.
that you get at Walmart, and there is so many more things, and I should almost just do a whole episode just by myself while Emily like she could like start it and then walk away, and I'll just keep talking about bobbers for 2 hours. But like there's so many different types of fishing that use floats. And you know, the walleyes, like it has come back with the walleyes here just in the last few years that people have found that. Emily and I, we use floats almost. We have one rod dedicated for it, and there's not many times when a panfish angler is going to tell them that they have a medium light rod specifically for fishing finesse floats for panfish.
Sure.
But the reason for that is we just moved up to Anago, but we were fishing a lot of heavy cover. And so getting those fish out of like the big snags, you needed a stiffer rod, and having that stiffer rod allows you to, you know, move that bobber around. But you almost fish it like a lure instead of like the just an indicator.
Right.
And so like all that stuff you can apply that to like cranks. You know, some people just like to troll them. You know, you can jerk them. You can like do long jerks or short jerk. Like there's all kinds of little things that are simple that you can do to adjust your bait to make it a little bit different than everybody else's.
Right.
And I think that's important for people to realize is like you don't need to buy fancy things.
No.
You know, if you adjust just the way that you use the things that you have, it can be as or maybe even more deadly than some of the stuff that you see on you know, social media or on TV, just because maybe you're using it different than everybody else, and the fish have never seen that. And that's, I think, the key is, unless it's a hook and a worm, like you said, because that's, to me, I'm not a live bait guy. Mostly just because we've invested a lot in being able to build tackle.
You just can't keep bait alive.
Yeah, that too. But the most deadly rig in all of fishing, no matter what you're fishing for, unless it's saltwater, is a hook and a worm.
Yep.
Like you can catch every fish that we have in Wisconsin on a hook and a worm at some point in the year. It might take you longer to catch some species than others on it, but that will catch everything.
Yeah.
But you know,
I can give you a story here.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we're in a back-to-back tournament, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we got the Van Dyne tournament. Then a Sunday we have the Sheboygan Walleye Club. So Friday night at the Van Dyne Club, he says to me, "I want to go slip bobber and jig on a reef." What? I says, "We're trolling." I says, "That's a lot of work. I want to try it." Okay, so we get out there Saturday morning. We're on Long Point Reef. I said, "Well, this is where we're going to stay because there's fish here." So we fish all day long. We go through 10 dozen crawlers. I don't know how many fish we caught, but we had our 5 walleyes, but we didn't do very good, I think 85th place. And he says, "My arms are tired." Okay, I told you it's a lot of work. He couldn't even hardly sit down and eat because I said, "You got to keep jigging. You got to keep moving that bobber around and all that kind of stuff." So I says the next day we are going to troll. So we go try what I was going to do and all that I wanted to do the day before. Well, guess what? I think we would have won that tournament because we should have trolled. We come in with 12 pounds the second day. We take 4th place.
Oh my God.
That's why you listen to the captain. Yeah, it's just cool stories you got to remember.
That's really funny.
I've always heard like there's some tournament guys that'll win with slip bobbers, and I'll be like, "See, told you."
Yeah.
Yep.
The one time I picked to do it did not work well for us. For big fish, we caught a lot of fish, not the big enough.
I do like slip bobbering and jigging. It's fun, but on tournament day, no, I gotta move. I gotta keep moving something.
Yep, and that's how we are most of the time. You know, if it's past spring, we're going into summer pattern. Like our boat never, like the trolling motor hits the water and it doesn't stop until we trailer the boat. Because that's, I don't even know if we have like 100 hours on our regular motor because we start fishing at the landing.
Right.
But
And
the trolling motor
the trolling motor is going to need to get
it's about
working.
to die out.
It's working still. I don't know how much longer, but that's awesome. 50 minutes already.
How many?
We put 50 minutes on the odometer already. It feels like 5.
Yeah. So Emily, you got any fish jokes?
Uh,
Why are fish so smart? They swim in schools. What the walleye say when he hit the brick wall? Damn.
yeah. That's a good one.
I got all kinds of them. You just got to get in the boat with me.
So I mean, like, do you guide, or is that possible?
No, I am not a guide. I don't guide. I take a lot of my friends out. We just have a good time. And a lot of time I'm doing R&D out there. I'm just trying different things constantly, try to improve on my products if I have to and that kind of stuff. I try to answer everybody's calls. If there's something wrong with a product of mine, I want to know about it right then and there because I'm going to take care of it because my customers are number one. Because if I don't take care of them, nobody else will. So that's why I do a lot of personal interaction with everybody.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
Well, and to answer your question, we'll definitely get a boat together one of these days coming up because that would be a ton of fun. But for people who want to keep following you on your adventures or, look up all the things that you have going on, how do they do that?
So Facebook, Coots Lures, YouTube, Coots Lures, TikTok, Coots Lures, LinkedIn. That's a big platform too that people don't utilize. It's a huge one. It's just like Facebook a couple of years ago. I'm trying to think. Instagram. We try and kind of put the content everywhere because obviously everybody's got kind of their favorite of what they like to look at. But I'd say Facebook and YouTube and TikTok are kind of our big ones. But like Coot said earlier, if you message us, we'll get back to you. He's in control of all the messages, so I don't touch any of that. I post. We comment pretty regularly to almost everybody. Again, like I said before, we have a lot of fun doing this. This is like we want to help others, and we want people to catch more fish. So, huge shout out to HT. They're a huge reason why I've been a huge part of this. They've definitely helped him. They've helped me. But again, they've been a huge component to what we've done, and we keep building and keep having more fun every year and keep meeting new people like Ed the Diver, Anthony Richter, the Garage Gourmet. We started different segments called Coots Kitchen, Coots Clothing, Coots Adventures, Coots Bloopers. We got a lot of stuff going on. We basically kind of Coots Outdoors, Coots Hunters. I'm going turkey hunting in 2 weeks, so Coots Turkey Hunter. We just keep expanding the brand, and it's just fun, and we just keep Coots apostrophe whatever. Coots World.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. So I know that people at home are definitely going to go and check that out because you guys got a lot of fun stuff going on, turkeys and fish and all and more. So we're definitely looking forward to that. But
I gotta say one last thing.
Yeah.
We definitely have to thank my mother, Kathy. Obviously, it's Mother's Day coming up. My wife, Jordan, she's been a huge supporter of us getting outdoors and fishing as much as we have. I just had my son is almost 1 year old, so huge shout out to him when he watches this someday. But again, it's because of the support system that we have around us. We even have a private team Coots Lure chat with about 13 to 15 of our closest friends that, send us content and we have a lot of fun with.
That's super awesome.
That is super awesome. There's a lot of people out there, or it takes a lot of people to make cool community like this work out. You watch those anglers like, oh, they're just out there getting to fish all day, but it's real people with real lives and real families and real things going on. So shout out to all the family members that make things happen because boy, does that make the world go round.
It helps when I have retirement. I have more time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I got more time than money, so you'll get there soon too.
I'm hoping I make it that far.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my goodness. And I guess so with that, I was gonna say we appreciate you guys being here too, because that is why we do this. And the people at home, thank you guys as well, because that is always a huge part of the fun. All of your questions and comments and things along the way. So we love that. And with that, looking forward to seeing everyone on next week's edition of The Night Bite.
Night, everybody.